The world's most secretive banks once protected Holocaust victims and Nazi gold at the same time. How did the same system become both a lifesaver and one of history's biggest financial scandals? For nearly a century, some of the richest, most dangerous, and most desperate people on Earth have trusted those numbers with everything they own. Nobody outside a small circle of bankers ever knew who those numbers belonged to. Kings hid fortunes there. Dictators hid stolen billions there. And ordinary families, fleeing the worst horror of the 20th century, placed their life savings there, hoping it would be safe. But safety, it turns out, was never guaranteed for everyone. To understand how Switzerland became the world's most trusted place to hide money, you have to go back further than most people expect, not to the Second World War, but to the years right after the first one. Europe in the early 20th century was drowning in new taxes. France and Germany, desperate to pay for the war, began taxing the wealthy harder than ever before. The rich needed somewhere to move their money. Switzerland, neutral, stable, and untouched by the fighting, became that place. Swiss bankers didn't wait for clients to come to them. They traveled across Europe, quietly advertising one simple promise: your secrets are safe here. That promise almost collapsed the entire system. In 1932, French police raided a Paris branch of a Swiss bank and exposed a list of wealthy French citizens, including bishops, generals, and government officials, secretly hiding money in Switzerland to dodge taxes. It became a national scandal, and it should have destroyed Switzerland's reputation forever. Instead, it did the opposite. 2 years later, in 1934, the Swiss government passed a law that would define the country for the rest of the century. It was called the Federal Banking Law. Buried inside it was a single clause, Article 47, that made it a criminal offense, punishable by prison, for any Swiss banker to reveal a client's identity to anyone, not journalists, not foreign governments, not even, in most cases, Swiss authorities themselves. For the first time in history, financial secrecy wasn't just a tradition. It was the law, and almost immediately, the law faced its most terrifying test. Just 1 year after Switzerland criminalized banking disclosure, Adolf Hitler's regime began hunting for the hidden wealth of German Jews. Nazi agents tried to infiltrate Swiss banks, posing as clients, attempting to identify Jewish account holders so their assets could be seized back in Germany. Article 47 blocked them. For families desperately trying to protect what little they had left, Swiss secrecy became, briefly, a shield. But that same shield had a much darker side, one Switzerland would spend decades trying to hide. As the war ended and millions of Jewish families were murdered in the Holocaust, something horrifying became clear. Thousands of accounts opened by victims before they died simply sat untouched. No death certificate, no traceable heir, no way, under Swiss secrecy law, for grieving families to even prove those accounts existed. For 50 years, Switzerland said almost nothing. Then in the 1990s, investigators uncovered something even worse. Documents proved the Swiss National Bank had knowingly purchased gold looted by the Nazis, some of it melted down from jewelry, and some, investigators found, from the teeth of concentration camp victims. The world reacted with fury. Class action lawsuits were filed in the United States. Politicians threatened to cut Swiss banks off from American markets entirely. Under enormous pressure, in August 1998, UBS and Credit Suisse agreed to pay $1.25 billion to Holocaust survivors and their families. It was a reckoning. But it was not the end of the secrets, because by then Swiss banks weren't just protecting war victims. They were protecting something else entirely: the fortunes of the world's wealthiest tax evaders. For decades, numbered accounts became the preferred hiding place for money governments were never supposed to find. Mob bosses, corrupt officials, ordinary millionaires who simply didn't want to pay their share. Switzerland asked no questions. Switzerland told no lies, because Switzerland was never asked. That silence finally cracked in 2007 when a UBS private banker named Bradley Birkenfeld walked into the U.S. Department of Justice and confessed everything. He described in detail how UBS actively helped wealthy Americans hide money offshore, smuggling diamonds in toothpaste tubes, coaching clients on how to lie to the IRS. The fallout was seismic. In 2009, UBS admitted guilt, paid a $780 million fine, and did something once considered impossible. It handed over the names of thousands of American clients. The wall of Swiss secrecy, standing since 1934, finally had a crack running straight through it. Other countries seized the moment. The United States passed a law forcing foreign banks to report American account holders or face devastating penalties. Nearly 100 countries signed onto a global agreement to automatically share banking information with each other every single year. So here is the question that started all of this. Is the secret finally gone? Not entirely. Swiss banks today are more transparent than at any point in their history. Foreign tax authorities can request records, and automatic information sharing exists. But the original 1934 law is still in effect. A Swiss banker can still go to prison for revealing a client's identity to another Swiss citizen. Domestic secrecy remains fully intact. The vault didn't disappear. It just learned exactly which doors it's legally allowed to keep locked, and to this day, it decides that alone.